もこんなにいっぱい乗ってるのよ。
こうやれば少し楽。
レオナがすごいもうめちゃめちゃ画像いっぱいアップして
そう。
びっくりしちゃった。
リーさ、
いっぱい行きました。
私とダブってるんだけどね。昨日の夜、もうこの子の方に画像が溜まったから初めて LINE ね。こっち入れてこっち。何？何探してる？
That we who follow Christ the King in exhortation may reach eternal Jerusalem through him, who lives and reigns forever and ever.
あくまでセルフフォースディフェンスだ。日本国民を守るための。みんながボーイスカウト1年行くと思うのよ。
なんか前ね来た時なんかがダメだった。
ダメなんですか？
なんだったかな。
写真撮れるんですけど、フラッシュはダメだそうです。
Fluttered if you have flash. They were fluttered and then they will. That's why. And then you last talk flash. Oh, for sure.
どうしても貼る。ああ。
ちょっとこっちに集まってください。ねえ、名前リサってどこに書くの？リサだけしか書けません。
じゃあリーサってこう。まあいいや。じゃあ書いてあげるかな。
リサ。
Some of the boats will be placed in this kind of coffin, small coffin, where sometimes it's like this royal jars, or particularly in the southern part of India, we use the limestone. So take note that these royal jars are taken from the coastal part or coastal towns of India. So take note that these jars dated as far as Ming and Song dynasty. So meaning is that 14th century, the people here in this island, they have already their contacts with the Chinese. Okay, so primarily Chinese came here, they introduced trade with the locals. Okay, so what makes this burial presentation is that it signifies the status of the person. Because when he was buried, he was placed with gold mask, gold. So it's very intricate. It symbolizes that the people here in the southern part of the kingdom, they have already the level of civilization. Okay? But if you notice also, like for example, the wooden coffin burial for burial practices that they had. For example, you can notice the crocodile in the snakes. So the early people here in this island, they also consume reptiles as a part of their diet and as part of their fish. And at the same time, they use crocodile and snakes as symbolizes as crocodile symbolizes power and snake symbolizes as rebirth. Okay, we look at take note that these artifacts are came from the southern part of Thailand. So meaning people also from Thailand don't visit here in this island as far as 7th to 10th century. So meaning is that they already introduced to us the trade. Okay, and then if you notice, in the size of the battery we call this, you can notice also like the skin of the snakes. And the same during 15th century, you also notice there that there is also crocodile in the snakes. And then when the Spaniards came here in this island as 1521, they noticed that people in this island, their body is covered by tattoos. Okay? Their body is covered by the tattoos. This is a crocodile design and snakes. Again, meaning crocodile symbolizes power and snakes symbolizes rebirth. As the same what you saw in the artifacts there, as early as 7th to 10th century, they already incorporate that in their pattern, the snake's design. And even in the burial practice, they already introduced the snakes and the crocodiles. So these are the typical people in this island before the coming of the colonial. They know they are considered as Nikos or Kaitas. Well, take note that you notice also, before the coming of the Spaniards, they have already this kind of material culture, what they call weaving, as the same as like the skin of the snakes in the matting process. They're using the materials that they use. So meaning, they already decode the idea of artistry in using the available fauna and flora in the environment. So a good example here also that I'm talking about the early people here in Cambodia as early as 7th and 10th century. A good example here is that this guy also lives in the central part of Manila, and which is also symbolizes that this kind of weapon or dagger, which is common in southern Thailand, but in fact, these people not even visit Thailand. But how could we explain that these people able to produce this kind of weaponry that is same as the people of Thailand? So meaning is that there is what you call a massive flow of migration, immigration during the pre-colonial years. But Thailand, it might be Chinese, they are not sensitive to colonize, they introduce trade. But it so happened in 1521, when the Spaniards came here, they already established their colonization. Okay? That there are only two provinces here in the Philippines which favor to the Spaniards. One is Pangasinan, another one is Iloilo. This is Iloilo, right? Take note, during 1521, the Ilonggo, like us, and the people in Pangasinan asked favor to the Spanish authorities that we're not going to engage into farming, but we're engaged into what we call seafarers. So the Spaniards trained Ilonggo to guard the Sulu Sea against the invasions of the Moros. The same way the people in Pangasinan trained by the Spaniards to watch over the South China Sea.
イロンゴの人たちをサウスチャイナからの侵略に防ぐようにガードとして使った。
So, and then in 1800s, when the Ilonggos asked the Spanish government to be freed people, so basically 1800s, the Ilonggo back to the farm and they till their lands, and that was the period. At the same time, here comes the British come here in Iloilo and engage into farming and encourage local farmers to engage into sugar industry and textile, particularly piña textile. And the same with the sugar industry. That's why this is a good example of the shipwreck that happened in 1880. They are taken from China. Okay, this was taken from the British shipwreck. take note that this kind of porcelains, it is made in China under the British chunk. Take note, Macau before, Hong Kong before is under the British colony. And look at this, made in England, made in China. Now, if you're going to analyze into pottery making, the British trying to imitate the Chinese tradition. But you can see they cannot render well how does the technology appears. Okay? So this is made in China, this is made in England, and these are taken from the British shipwreck. So meaning is that no, that was the period also. Take note that Iloilo was became we call that the Queen City of the South because of the booming of the sugar industry. So as early as 1850s, Iloilo already considered as Queen City of the South. And then take note that the sugar here from Iloilo reached as far as Manchester, England, as far as Melbourne, Australia. So there is what you call, in 1850, Iloilo engaged already into world trade using introductions of sugar in the foreign land. So this is a good example of, and because of Iloilo, because of the sugar, so at the same time, the textile industry, this is made of Piña fibers, pineapple leaves. This is made of pineapple. Okay, so the textile industry here, particularly Iloilo, was coined as textile capital of the Philippines according to the European historian. So they observed here Iloilo already booming the same sugar, the same with the pineapple textile. This is made of pineapple textile. So that's why if you notice, typical natives or locals here during those times is Pikit. There are small body. Okay, if you notice women here in Iloilo during those times, they have a small body. Okay, look at the guys here. No, it's made of pineapple, right? So the weaving industry boom Iloilo and point as Queen City of the South. Okay, at the same time, the design here from body tattoo, you already designed skin type with the dress, and which is also the same with the so from body tattoo, you already transfer the design to clothing. Okay. After Cebu has been discovered by the Spaniards, the second province that they occupied was Panay Island, because there was a time as early as 1500s to 1600s, no, the Spaniards stayed there in Cebu. But eventually what happened then is that when the Portuguese noticed that there are Spaniards staying in Cebu, so in a matter of how many months that they were cornered in Cebu, in a secret expedition led by Legazpi, he ordered his men to go to the west until they were able to land here in Panay. When the Spaniards landed here in Panay, they mentioned 3 times arroz, 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 meaning in Spanish, rice, rice, rice. So in this island, abundant of rice. So after Cebu, they moved to Iloilo here in Panay Island. But eventually the Spaniards did not stay longer here because at the time, Manila is already occupied by the Chinese traders under Limao. And then at the same time, the Spaniards who were from Iloilo, they moved to Manila. So they did not neglect the colonization policy here in this island.
スペインの侵略が西部からいろいろに落ちてきたところで、マニラが中国の手に落ちてたから、そんなにいろいろには長い間。
Okay, so they know the southern part of Iloilo, the Spanish priest. No, so take note, some of these santoses, the wooden santoses, came from as far as Europe, as early as 1880. So meaning, if you own this kind of saints, it's simply speaking that your status is very, very high. So can you afford, at that time, if you can afford to buy a statue in Europe, it speaks about your status. And take note that Iloilo is considered also as the famous of religious churches by the Spanish. Okay? For 1941 to 1945, Philippines occupied by the Japanese. Okay? So, these are a good example of how the Japanese authorities did, because at the time, 41-45, Iloilo was bombed by the Japanese, and then that's why some of the old structures here were destroyed during the World War, because they know 41-45 we are under the American colonization. So Americans and the Japanese have fought, that's why Filipino has been included in that fight. So take note, this money has been circulated only in this island. So this was used by the local people when they're going to purchase goods. That's why when you buy something, you need to bring a big bag, because the amount here is 10 centavos, 50 centavos, a small amount. So you have to bring a big bag in order to purchase. So this is what we call Mickey Mouse money.
Mickey Mouse money.
So we call this
単価が低いからこれだけお金を持って買い物に行かなきゃいけなかった。
because they know there is no longer any value as a collection. It is a value, but in terms of circulation in the market, no more reserves. So that's why we call that Mickey Mouse. Okay, and then it says communicating Mark Arthur Base in Australia. Okay, so these are examples of the Japanese or given to the local leaders, because there are some also Japanese who make friends with the locals. I don't know, but there are some historical accounts that Japanese officials are very friendly. But there are some soldiers, I guess there are some Koreans at the time, because Korea is under the Japanese Imperial Forces. So we presume that there are some also Korean soldiers who came here in Iloilo and they inflicted atrocities. But there are some accounts that speak about the Japanese officials or military officials that are very, very close to the people. They're not inflict danger or threat to people, but we believe that these are also from the Korean soldiers. Okay, so this is a good example of the communication used by the people. It so happened in 1942 that the Americans are about to bomb Iloilo, and then under the leadership of the city mayor, he went to his rooftop, and then informing, he got the powder lime, and then he relayed the message, no Japs here. Meaning at that time, the Japanese, 1942 to 1945, most of the Japanese went to the interior towns. They're convincing the Chinese to go back here in the city because this is unusual. No more war. Because what the Japanese wanted also to encourage the local business people to go back to their business. But eventually, what happened then is that when the Americans roaming around this city and they're planning to bomb the Iloilo again, it was the mayor then initiative to go to his rooftop and relay the message that no more Japs here. So after an hour, the message placed in this pouch, and it was dropped there in the site, that the message says, we got your message and told headquarters, signed the Navy. So the massive bombing of Iloilo is no longer realized. So that's why there are some of them who saved their lives here.